Pastor, I could not agree more. You know, when I tweeted a few weeks back about Black supremacy, and what I said was defeating white supremacy without white people creates Black supremacy. Equality is the truth. Like it or not, we're all in this together. Now, woo, that set off a firestorm. When I say firestorm, listen, I did the tweet. I went to get something to eat, and my computer was smoking. Now, this is the thing, man, and I have to say, you know, it was in order to open this conversation. Now, does Black supremacy exist? No. Now, when I say like, hey, is there this huge thing where we're trying to get white people back? Well, no, that's not what I'm talking about. Is that what the Black Lives Matter is? Not at all. But I believe that spiritually it can. Spiritually, I believe that you can be in a mode of dangerous self-righteousness where you can feel that you are above other people. You are more important. You are better. You have a supremacy mindset, which I feel is very, very dangerous, and it's extreme. And what I was warning against is extremes. The extremes of, we have people right now, Pastor, I have received a lot of death threats. This is what happens in social media and the internet. There are people who are like, we need to go get Terry Crews. Somebody needs to silence him. Somebody, you know, needs to, this is the phrase they use, somebody needs to stop him at close range. Listen, I know what those terms are. I know what that means, but this is an example of the extremism I'm talking about. We can't have a nuanced conversation. And this is what you are talking about right now. And now talk to me, what are your views? Because I actually said it, and I didn't even know later on that Martin Luther King actually spoke about Black supremacy being just as dangerous as white supremacy back in the 1960s in several speeches. So can you elaborate, or can you tell me, hey, am I wrong?
Well, you know,
am I out of context here? What's going on?
It begs a few questions. And Dr. King, basically, the spirit of what Dr. King was saying is that the oppressed have to be careful that once liberated, they don't become the oppressors, that we don't become like the very individuals who oppressed us. And that was a legitimate concern. But your comments beg certain questions, you know, and the first question is, what have you experienced to give you the feeling? Because remember, you tied Black Lives Matter leading to, and this is the perception, because what we're dealing with mostly is perception, how people perceive what we say. All right. So the perception was that you connected Black Lives Matter eventually leading to Black supremacy. Right. And I think what you were trying to say, because you and I had this conversation also, and I listened to your interview with Roland Martin, you know, what you're saying is that we have to be careful of the extremes. And look, I teach for years, I have taught that anything taken to the extreme becomes error, even truth. So we've got to be mindful of these realities, these possibilities, all right, as we walk through these muddy waters, trying to bring clarity. And I would hope that in the spirit of my faith, all right, I am called to be an ambassador of reconciliation. And reconciliation means that we begin to have civil discourse and bring things together. Sit at the table. Let's talk about our differences of approach. That's what makes America beautiful. That's what makes us human. The power to reason, to have ideas, to communicate those ideas and exchange them. But we're in a climate of such tribalism, such deep extremism, that you are either on my side or you are against me. There is no conversation. And I think that's problematic because, let's face it, it's not political in the sense that both Democrats and Republicans have politicized race and religion. They have co-opted Jesus. They have co-opted Christianity, so that even Christianity is being challenged. So
Yep.
the question is, what was informing your concerns about this leading to Black supremacy?
You know, I heard, and this is the thing, I am amongst a lot of people in Black Hollywood. And again, my ear is to the street. And I heard different things that I did not agree with amongst my own. And what was wild is that, you know, after I said that, a little bit later, Nick Cannon had a show on YouTube that basically was called Cannon's Class, where he was teaching exactly what I was warning against.
What was he saying?
He said that because of the melanin that I have more compassion, and that the lack of melanin made white people evil, savage, and just, you know, more inclined to do damage. And I just was going, this is a mistake. This is the stuff I had been hearing for years and years amongst my own. And everybody was like, that's the truth. That's the truth. And I'm going, but wait a minute. The melanin thing has nothing to do with who we are as human beings. I have white brothers. I have, you know, Jewish brothers. I have people who I call family. Why? What does this mean? But this was taught as truth. And I was going, now you mix this into this opportunity we have. I like to call it the sportification of this movement, because what happened is now I feel like, hey, the Black man has been down by 50. And now we have our chance to go up by 1. And Terry Crews, you're ruining it for us. But this is not a sport. This is a house that we all have to live in together. I truly believe, I'm going, wait, I can't compete with you on this thing. This is now, we're gonna have to go in the same kitchen, in the same refrigerator. We have to use the same bathroom. We have to organize how we're going to work in this thing. In sports, it's about destroy. And I win, you lose. And I'm going, this is a wrong mindset. And let me tell you, I may not have been very good at articulating this.
You understand the fears, though, right? You
I'm
understand
sorry?
the fears. The fears are that if we minimize or de-escalate the necessary intention for a conversation like this that should lead to action, that those actions won't take place. The conversation is going to go away, and we're going to continue as Black people just the way we are. So that's a legitimate concern. Right. You understand what I'm saying? So
yes,
while
sir.
We're trying to reconcile and harmonize, you know, there's still certain realities that we've seen continuously a part of American society.
You're
and
right.
We have to dismantle these broken social systems that continue to perpetuate marginalization against people of color. You know, that should not be present. I will tell you, COVID-19, compounded by the senseless murder of George Floyd, created an environment that for the first time in American history, we have a national consensus of moral outrage. People, Democrat, Republicans, were crying out and saying it was wrong, it was foul. We had all races and ethnicities expressing their moral outrage. We had every sector within American society expressing moral outrage. And there was a groundswell of support for change. And that's why we are seeing all of the movements that we're seeing. But you know, anything good, all right? The Bible says that wheat was sown in the field first. Yes. And then an enemy came and sowed tares.
Yes, yes.
So we've got wheat and weeds growing together. We've got good and evil growing together, trying to undermine. So anything good, all right, is going to be hijacked by those who would like to turn it into something else or exploit it for their own agenda. That's a reality. So we have to keep the conversation pure. We have to hold America accountable, and we have to hold our own communities accountable. It was interesting to me that we're holding white folks accountable for what they said, and then Nick Cannon came out and said what he said, and he was being held accountable. Accountability goes both ways. That's the reality. And we've got to come together and have dialogue. And look, we're only 13% of the American population. We cannot effect this kind of change by ourselves. I get where you're coming from on that. You know, it's going to take the dominant society like it did to abolish slavery and to lead to the Emancipation Proclamation. It's going to take us working together. But unfortunately, you know, social media creates a platform and everybody's a preacher now and everybody's got a sermon.